Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are going to do this for lunch and learn, but it's actually going to be a topic of boot camp training. It's on time management. The reason I love this topic is because we are all given the same amount of time every day. And what I will tell you, it's just like a bank. You get deposited 24 hours every single day. And at the end of the day, what you don't utilize or you waste is taken away and you get another 24 hours. And so how you spend your time is really, really key. Now, I'm going to tell you, and you probably aren't going to want to hear this, but most of us know what we need to do when we need to do it. We choose not to do it. Now, we can blame our kids, our schedules, our health, our neighborhood, our director, our leads. There's always going to be somebody that we could put the blame to. And I'm not saying that there's never some other reason why, but I will truly tell you from the bottom of my heart, the only thing that's holding you back from getting where you want to go is what you're telling yourself. Okay. I had an opportunity to listen to a training that Jamie Taylor, new national sales director, who's young, she joined Mary Kay at 20, became a national at 29 or something. But she did a training for directors. And she talked about how when she decided she wanted a Cadillac, she was a brand new director. And she had a unit of almost all college students. They were all people she could relate to. They were all 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. They were all in college, pretty much broke because that's your financial status typically in college. And she looked at her unit and said, I really, really want a Cadillac. Like we're here at $5,000 a month. So we're earning our Malibu. And I want to be here at $16,000 a month for Cadillac. She realized she had this epiphany. I can't get from here, Malibu, to Cadillac with the same group of women. Like they're not in this to make money, to run this as a business. They're all broke. They're just hanging out. They're doing it for the discount, whatever. Does Jamie know what to do? Of course. She knew that in order to go from Malibu to Cadillac, she needed to build a team of women that wanted to work this as a business. Nothing wrong with having a whole bunch of college age women who were doing this as a side hustle. Don't hear me wrong, but you can't, she's looking for people who wanted more. Does that make sense? So she decided she could keep telling herself, well, they can't do that, or they're not going to do that or whatever. But the bottom line is she knew how to share that product and she knew how to share the opportunity. So she said, I just decided to focus on putting the product on at least 8 to 10 faces a week. Every week, it's like, who are the 8 to 10 women I can reach out to? Now, she didn't have a lot of connections outside of that college cluster. So what do? You ask for referrals. Are any of the women in college have a mom that might be looking for something on the side, or maybe want to do a pampering? What else? Where else could she meet women? She could go out with warm chatter books. She could put out facial boxes. She could network through networking groups. She could wear her Mary Kay t-shirt and go where women of the ages that she was looking for, the I would say 25 to 40-year-olds was the group she was looking for. And so she chose, that was an intention. She chose to spend time doing that. In the meantime, she built a really strong customer base in the process. Those who didn't want to join, that's fine. She still built a strong customer base. But then what they saw her doing was holding parties. So when they joined her team, they did what she was doing, which was holding parties and making money. And so it is a ripple effect. And so I want to tell you how you manage your time is really, really key. So if you go on the Mary Kay in Touch website, you're going to see something called a weekly plan sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and screen share this with you just so you can see it. It comes like this. Back in the day, this was incredibly helpful for me. At the time that I was really utilizing this, I had a little one. I think Michelle was maybe a year old, and I was just finding that the days would go by and I'd go, oh my gosh, I only got like 20 minutes of something done because I'm either picking up the house when she's taking a nap or trying to prep a meal or grocery shop or do laundry or whatever. And I just found that we tend to squander our time when we don't have a lot of structure. I'm not saying you don't, I'm just saying humans in general. So what I did find is when baby number 2 came along, I thought, okay, I've got to have a better schedule than this. So I took this weekly plan sheet. The father of my kids was in law enforcement and worked shift work. So his shifts often were graveyard or swing relief or whatever, always screwy hours. So I always did his schedule in black because he was in law enforcement, black and white car, right? So I took a black pen and I would literally just put an M at the top for his initial, and I would put what his shift was, because sometimes I couldn't remember what days he was working or when he had court, and I needed to know when he might be able to help out with the kids or when I had to get a sitter. So I plugged that in, then I plugged in any doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, what I was obligated to, not trying to fill it with just stuff, but what was I obligated to do? And then some things I wanted to do, like I had a play group that I went down and we did this Gymboree thing, and it was on Thursday morning. So I blocked that in. And then I looked at this and I said, okay, how many Mary Kay selling appointments do I want to have in order to have a strong base of a unit to support a Cadillac or to do what I wanted to do? And I knew that I needed to hold 3 appointments a week, 3 parties a week is what I needed to hold. Now, I don't care how great you are at this, you're not going to ever have 100% holding rate. And if you do, please text me or reach out to me, because I'd love to know what you do to have 100% booking and success rate. But I did find, for me, it was pretty much, if I had 4 parties booked, 3 would hold. If I had 5 parties booked, for sure I'd have 3. I never had to do double it. I never had to have 6 parties booked for 3 to hold. I don't know if it was my coaching or what, but I typically, almost every appointment would hold. But people do get sick, and you have to allow for that. So this is just a generic blank weekly plan sheet. So you guys get to decide what you want your week to look like. So I'm going to show you a couple examples. So I had a consultant reach out to me, and her comment was this: I hate my job. I have kids. I have a husband, and I work full time. How do I transition from this job that is sucking the life out of me? Those were her words. How do I go from this full-time gig to Mary Kay's a full-time gig if I've got a family and a husband and all of that? I found, because she has 2 kids, she really needed structure. She really needed, and everybody's different, but she really needed to know that from this time to this time she could do this, and from this time to this time. When she saw it on paper, her brain was able to process that, and she knew it was all possible. So let me show you a little bit about what her weekly plan sheet looked like that I helped her put together. So she wanted, and I'm going to try to make this just a little bit bigger if I can. How do I make this bigger? Let's see. Can I make this bigger? It's not letting me make this bigger. Well, let me see. If I click this button, can I make it bigger? Resize. Let me put glasses on. That always helps. Okay. Let me see if it'll let me resize this. No, that's if I want to add something to it. Okay. I don't know why it's not letting me. Typically, it'll let me make it bigger. Edit image. Well, I'm just clicking on all these buttons. Oh my goodness. Now what did I do? Oh, there we go. Okay. So now it's a little bit bigger. Good. All right. So if you can, hopefully you guys can all see this. She wanted that first hour in the morning was her quiet time and getting ready for work. So she would get up, she would have about maybe 10 or 15 minutes in prayer and meditation. That's what worked for her. She would put her clothes on. She kind of got herself ready, right? Then she had a commute. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, her kids, she had some kind of help, because her kids were pretty small. I think she had like her mom or her mother-in-law coming in to help with the kids when she went to work in the day, and then different afternoons her husband came home and whatever. So she had her quiet time in the morning. Then this whole hour she was in a commute van. So she actually got in a commute van and they commuted to her job. She has her job from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. and it was a pretty regular schedule. Obviously, you can see that from here. She said to me, 3 lunches a week, I'm willing to make phone calls or text or whatever during my lunch hour. Like I'm more than happy to go sit in my car and eat my little sack lunch and either make phone calls or do texting. And then she said 2 of the weeks she didn't want to do that. She typically ran errands. Honestly, she'd go to the dry cleaner. She'd go to do other things that she didn't want to have to take the 2 kids with. So those 2 lunches were for her personal to do whatever, but 3 of her lunch hours, she was doing phone calls. Now, she knew that 3 parties a week was going to get her what she needed to do. So this was her routine. This is what she set up. Monday, during her commute, because she was in a commuter van, she could not really talk on the phone a lot, because you're not supposed to do that when you're in this big van of people, but she could do texting. So she utilized that every single day coming home. And what would happen is she'd make phone calls or texts here, and then people would check their phones and text her back or call her back here. All right. Monday night was her sacred night for gym time. She wanted to be able to go to the gym and have dinner with her family. Tuesday night was her local Mary Kay meeting. She's out of state to me, but that's when she would actually go to their Mary Kay studio. She tried to always bring models for makeovers. Now, if you aren't doing this and you're doing it virtual, you could do that. Wednesday night was her 1 hour. She called it her power hour. She literally would just power hour either customers, bookings, something that was going to move the needle, something that was going to generate her business and move her closer to her goal. She always booked Thursday nights. Why? She said she found that people were in a better mood on Friday. They get paid on Friday. They were in a good mood on Thursday. And so Thursday night parties just seem to hold really well, whether it be virtual or in person. Now, this was done pre-COVID, but you could totally adapt this to be all virtual. Friday night, this is one of the things that she said to me, Diane, I've got two traditions that I really want to hold on to. One is date night with my husband on Friday nights, and we always have family night on Saturdays. I said, you can totally keep that. So Friday night, she did the gym, and then her and hubby went on date night. Then, because her husband was home and she talked to him about she really needed Saturdays to be the biggest bang for her buck for her time, she booked 2 parties on Saturday. And then, of course, Saturday night was family night. Sunday, she had church and then all family time. And this is when our national and stuff, at one point, we used to do a conference call on Sunday. But what I told her to change that to, I always had phenomenal luck as a consultant and as a new director, making phone calls on a Sunday. I don't know why, everyone was home. So I would always, usually after our early dinner with family time, I would often say to my husband that, can you do baths for the kids on Sunday night? So while he had them in a bath, which, is an event in itself, from like 7 to 8 or 6:30 to 7:30, I would get in my office and I would jam on the phone. And I would, most of the time, I would say probably 70% of the time get voicemail, but that's okay. It allowed me to leave a 1-minute infomercial with a fun reason for them to call me back. So this is what her schedule looked like. Now, because she really needed these 3 parties to hold in order to let go of her job and move into directorship, she would often double book them. So she might book 2 parties for Thursday, 3 parties or 4 parties on a Saturday. Okay. And so what would happen is if by Wednesday, both parties were still holding, she would call someone on her team or she'd call me and say, hey, can somebody in our unit go hold one of my parties tomorrow? I have 2 parties. And now being mainly virtual, that's super simple to do. You could even merge the 2 parties together, or you could do them back to back. Like I did one the other night, 6:30 to 7:30. And then the other gals didn't want to start the other one, get ready for bed until 8. So I had a 30-minute window to close, go grab some coffee, whatever. And it worked out perfect. I literally did 2 parties back to back. But you could take the 2 hostesses and make them into one big party, which makes it just fun. All right. So this is kind of what her schedule looked like. So you guys can see how, is it regimented? A little bit, but I'll tell you what, she now is very disciplined. Like, so when she goes to bed on Sunday night, guess what she does is she says to herself, who am I going to call tomorrow on lunch? Do I have their numbers with me? Do I have my date book with me? So she literally has like a Mary Kay tote. And on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, she takes that tote in the commute van with her because it's got her phone numbers, her date book, what she's going to do come lunch. It's never a, gee, am I in the mood to make phone calls today? It's like, nope, Monday's call day. And she calls and she's really, the results she got would have blown your mind. So this is just a great, great example. Now I'm going to share with you one other one really quick. And this is one from the company on what you can do to, if you want to go into directorship, it gives you a little bit more of a schedule. Now, remember, no 2 weekly plan sheets are going to be the same, you guys, no 2. So you have to work with your director and have her help you put this together. So here's for somebody, 3 to 5 beauty shows a week with a full-time job, and you still have 4 family date nights. So this is by National Sales Director Cheryl Warfield. And so this is, you can color code this, you can do whatever you want. So this is if this person is working full-time. So again, if you are not working full-time and you're working part-time, then you have a lot more time that you can work around. So this is showing you that 4 days a week, she's doing a sharing appointment to build her team on a lunch break. What I love about that, gang, is it's not chatty. It doesn't go on for hours because you only have an hour. Maybe she's eating lunch on her end, you're eating lunch on your end, right? And you do it over Zoom or you do it over FaceTime, and you can say, oh my gosh, I'd love to talk to you one day this week during lunch. Grab your lunch and we'll just chat on the phone, or we'll go on FaceTime. What's better for you, Tuesday or Friday? And you literally book these. If you shared the career opportunity with 4 women a week, chances are one of those is going to join. Well, if you do that every week, 4 people a week, 4 people a week, 4 people a week, you'll be adding 1 team member a week. That's 4 in a month. That would put you through CAR and directorship in 3 to 4 months. And what's going to happen is that's going to catapult, because they're going to want to do the same thing and get their pearls and all that. All right. So now notice this gal schedule is very different than the last one. This lady wanted to do 2 parties on a Saturday as well, 1 party on a Sunday. And then she also wanted to book Monday and Tuesday night. So this is somebody who really wants to make some strides with her business. She's still home Sunday night. She's still home Wednesday night. She's home all Friday and all Saturday nights to do whatever they want. Does that make sense? My feeling on the shows on Saturdays, once you're cute from the waist up virtually, or you're cute in person, right? It's easier for me, I think, to go to multiple parties in a day than to get dressed up cute, load the car and do all that stuff 4 times a week. I would rather do 2 or 3 parties back to back. And with it being virtual, you can absolutely do that. So this just gives you an idea. You can sit down with your family and say, okay, we've got 4 family fun nights planned. The other 3 mommy's working. One would be your meeting, and you guys never miss your meeting. And I know it's virtual, but I will tell you, show up to go up. And I'm going to tell you, if we had our studio still, you'd be dressed in a cute skirt. You have professional attire. Your makeup would be on. You wouldn't walk in flip-flops and a tank top, eating your dinner out of a Tupperware tub while you're at the meeting. So try to set that time aside as important for your education, because your whole unit looks up to you. Your whole unit looks up to everybody that's on camera there. And the answer is not to go not on camera, but if you're grocery shopping or you're prepping meals and you're doing all this stuff, you're really not present. You're really not listening to the training. You're really not getting the most out of the meeting that you could. And we call ours TNL, Tuesday Night Live. It's recognition, training, inspiration, all of that stuff. And it's so vital for you to have that information. So please be the part. Dress professional, show up. I mean, when I come into my meeting, I'm in my suit every single week. I mean, from the waist up, I don't always have the suit skirt on, but I always looking professional and sharp. My makeup's always on. I'm there to be a leader and the visionary person. Does that make sense? And so are you. So I hope today has been helpful. What I want to just leave you with is a couple tips. Try a weekly plan sheet for a week. Fill it out, figure out what you want to do, and work it for a week. Then as you get toward the end of the week, say to yourself, what worked on here? What didn't work? Most importantly, did I get the results I was expecting? So let's say you were anticipating an $800 week and 3 parties, okay? And the 3 parties, 2 of the 3 parties held, and you had a $400 week. So what could you have done different? Did you need more time in your schedule for coaching your hostesses? Did you need more time in your schedule to follow up after the party? All of those things are really important. So I'm going to leave you with 3 really quick tips. They are time management tips that I got by doing something not the right way. So please learn from my mistakes. Okay. Lesson number 1 is, as soon as a virtual party is over, my number 1 priority is literally my number 1 priority is I do 3 things immediately, but let's just stick with number 1 is who got samples last night that didn't jump on. So as they jump on Zoom, I highlight their name just because it's an easy glance. Well, if you'll notice, I've got a lady here, and a lady here, 3 people that got samples that weren't on last night. Now, granted, one had COVID, one got sick, whatever, but they have samples. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want them to rip open the samples, use them in the wrong order with the wrong quantity and not be happy. So my very first text this morning for this party last night was, hey, Lisa, this is Diane with Mary Kay. So bummed. I hope you're okay. We really missed you last night. Do you still have your pack of samples? I always end in a question, short, brief text. Okay, did y'all caught that? Okay, so that's gonna be my very first thing. Then the second thing I'm looking for is who sent me their hashtag party board, because I have them text it to me, that said free, or that said free on question 2, or the word info, which is the career opportunity. Who wrote either free or info on either of those? They're my very next phone call. And then I close everybody else. So my goal is for every single party that within 48 hours, I've talked to every single person at the party. Now, I had a party last week, 2 weeks ago, that I literally felt like I was chasing people because I couldn't get these women to call me back. So I reached out to the 2 that had packets, and I took care of them. But the 4 women at the party, they were like, oh, I'm heading on a vacation. We're leaving for Montana tomorrow. We'll be back in a week. And I said, okay, well, I'd love to get your opinion of the products. Plus, I want to make sure Melissa gets her hostess credit. Do you have a quick minute? We're packing. Call me in a week. And I'm like, what do you do, right? You can't say, no, stop packing and talk to me. So I said, okay. And then I said to her, would you like me to send you a digital catalog in case you'd like to glance at it while you're traveling? And both of the gals said yes. So that, again, it's any way I can tie myself to them. So I sent them a digital copy of the lookbook. And then after that, it's just follow up. So sometimes I'll either take a little Post-it note and actually attach a Post-it note to this, or I go to my digital calendar, like out 5 days, and I'll say on there, call Lisa from Melissa's party. And then I'll put Lisa's name and phone number in my date book, because otherwise I'm like, Lisa, who's Lisa? When you see a lot of faces, after a while, it's all a blur. Anyway, so does that sort of help? So that is a huge tip, is just the very second, like if this party hadn't ended at 8:30 last night, I would have texted them last night. So if it was like a 4 o'clock party, I would have texted them at 5:30. We really missed you. I hope you're okay. Do you still have your samples? Literally an hour after the party. Well, I'm assuming they still have their samples. But what happens is if you don't do that, and this is what happened to me last week, is the woman was at a family reunion. Everybody at the family reunion got COVID. So all 5 of the people I mailed packets to all had COVID and were sick. So guess what they did in the week that they were waiting to feel better? They all ripped open their packets. They all used random samples in the wrong order, the wrong quantity. And now I feel like I'm having to go back and see who's interested in doing it the right way and who's interested in trying the product again. And it's way more work. Had I reached out to them and said, so sorry you have COVID, do me, I'm looking forward to pamper you. Don't open your sample or don't use your sample packet. Please let's set up a private time. It's only 20 minutes. I can do you one-on-one. I would have rather had done each one of those 5 women, if we can't get them together, one-on-one for 20 minutes, than have them rip open the packet. One gal goes, well, I use my cream, but my daughter stole the lifting serum, and someone else, my husband tried the cleanser. It's like a complete hoo-ha. It's a mess. Okay. The other time management tip I will tell you is when you have set time for booking, don't do creative avoidance. Say, well, I was going to do my booking calls at 11, but that's just customer called and she's going to be buying 3 hours to pick it up. So I've got to tag and wrap her product. Gang, you know what? You can tag and wrap her product after you make the phone calls. You have to ask yourself, what can I do right now that's going to move me closer to my goal? And then you can also, as you're doing things, say to yourself, is this moving me closer to my goal? So we have huge audacious goals for this month for June. And I just know that by Sunday, I'm going to have it completely done and mapped out. I've only got like 7 days left to pull this outrageous, fearless goal off. But I will tell you, it'll come. It's just a matter of disciplining and having those blinders on like the racehorses do and making it happen. All right, you guys, well, I hope these tips have been helpful. I hope you guys will realize that this business is mathematical. It's not magical. If you're not getting the results and you literally call me and said, Diane, I'm not making money. I'm not happy with my business. The very first thing I'm going to ask you is, what are you expecting? I mean, what kind of results are you expecting? Like in your heart, what are you really expecting? And how many people are you seeing? Because if you put product on faces, gang, you can't help but be successful. You will become successful if you just put product on faces. The product sells itself. But if you're not putting product on faces and you're just praying that the 10 customers you have keep buying from you, that doesn't always work. All right. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Time management is key. Please print out that weekly accomplishment sheet. Do me a favor, print out 4 and do it for 4 weeks. And if you find after the 4th week that your business is not extremely productive, much more productive than it was, that you're not getting much better results and you're feeling less stressed, less overwhelmed, less anxious, less scattered, then you need to pick up the phone and call your director, because if you're using a weekly plan sheet for 4 weeks and you're not alleviating stress, anxiety, overwhelm, all of that stuff, and you're getting better results, then something's missing. All right. I hope you guys got a lot out of today. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you later.